Jamming out to Fleetwood Mac tonight. Hi, I'm Stephanie Jarvis and I'm your mushroom mentor. And today's word of the day is saprotrophic. Can I say that slower? Saprotrophic. Am I microdosing? No, but that's coming soon. Saprotrophic. All right, so what exactly is saprotrophic and how does it relate to fungi? Well, saprotrophic is a modality of obtaining and eating food. And it is one of the ways that fungi sequester nutrients, meaning gather and kind of hoard nutrients from the environment. Okay, so in terms of the Latin root, because I like to always start with the Latin root and what it means, sapro. And I got multiple colors this time, my friends. You're welcome. Okay, so sapro means rotten, decaying. Also from ancient Greek, translated into scientific Latin. And then trophic, which from my scholastic endeavors, etc., to means in my mind like a modality of doing so, but saprotrophic. So saprotrophic, sorry, I'm digressing here. Saprotroph is a way of consuming food, but saprophytic, also you can say it with a phytic, is meaning plants. And trophic is a modality of consuming. So you could call a fungi saprotrophic, it's a saprotroph, or it's a saprophyte, where it's eating plants. But this is dead, rotten, decaying plants. So who are the fungi out in nature who are eating the dead, rotten, decaying plants as a modality of absorbing nutrients? Well, my friends, that is pretty much most of the fungi. Those that are not parasitic, but they also live in a saprotrophic or saprophytic way of life. Those that are mycorrhizal, and those that are mycorrhizal also live a saprotrophic and saprophytic point of their life. So pretty much most fungi do this modality of consuming nutrients from their environment at some point in their existence. Let's see. These are mostly, like the ones that do this all the time are your active decomposers. Let's use a different color just to get it really confusing. The decomposers. And the decomposers are the fungi out in nature that are breaking down all of the leaf litter and the woody debris, and also the soil, like taking soil apart even further and decaying whatever they can get at in the soil out in nature. So this is the organisms, the fungi, the yeasts, the molds, the penicilliums in the world that are their major role is in nutrient cycling. So they are taking the carbon out of the plants, they are taking the nitrogen out of the plants, they are taking other organic compounds out of the plants and making them bioavailable for the rest of the world. So say we have a dead leaf, and then we have this fungi come along and it gobbles it up, and all that nutrients that was then just lying dormant in the cells is now in the fungi that was acting as a saprotroph or eating saprophytically in nature. And then it meets up with a root of a tree and it goes, oh yeah, I want to be mycorrhizal now. And then those nutrients that it was then hoarding or holding on to or storing then can shuttle into this plant, into this tree, and so part of the tree is going to be connected with the with the fungi, and then part of the fungi is also still going to be out in nature eating saprotrophically, finding nutrients, and then shuttling it to the plant. And that is mycorrhizal, and that is a different conversation. But back to the decomposers. These are the molds, the yeasts, the fungi, and the mushrooms. There are lots and lots of mushrooms out in the world that we know don't actually work as mycorrhizal or parasitic. Puffballs, for example, are one of these types of fungi that primarily live as a saprotrophic lifestyle. Although I have seen puffballs when they grow really big rings out in fields, in grassy fields, and you can watch them grow over time, and some of them are several hundred years old. You can just calculate how much it grows per year by how big the ring gets. And in a certain type of the year, depending on the species, you actually see that the fungi is there and there's like a ring of dead grass. So is the fungi actually growing, living parasitically, kills the grass, and then saprotrophically eats the grass? I tend to say yes, but I have zero proof to prove that. Although I did study specifically puffballs for 8 years of my life, and the universe still brings them to me. So anyhow, I do believe, and I have seen this happen in nature without having an actual hypothesis to set up an experiment that shows that fungi can live a parasitic existence, kill off a host, and then live a saprotrophic, very happy existence, living off of the organism that it just murdered. Fungi are weird, just like me. Okay, so what are some of the mushrooms that live saprophytically? So you see these that are in nature that are not the chanterelles, not the boletes, not those mycorrhizal fungi that are so common that we know, but these are some things like lepiota and puffballs, and there's and agaricus as well. There is a ton of fungi out in the world that are mushrooms. Remember, mushroom is a shape. All mushrooms are fungi. Not all fungi are mushrooms, but these are fungi out in nature that are just digesting the dead gunk in the world and letting that nutrient then be bioavailable to the rest of the living plants that then need it. So these are like the coprinus and as I'm pointing, I have a bunch of wood chips in my front yard. The coprinus, the coprinopsis, the inky caps, these are fungi that grow in wood chip mulches. This is also some of the wood-loving Satharellas and the psychoactive mushrooms, the psilocybe fungi group that love the wood. And even those that like other humic-rich materials like cow dung, horse dung, and you can also throw in rye grain. Some people like to use in growing them at home with cocoa mulch and that kind of thing. So these are also saprophytic fungi that are then breaking down the dead, the decaying, the rotten plant material of the world and taking in those nutrients and making it bioavailable to other plants so that other plants can thrive. And they're nutrient cycling. And just imagine if we didn't have these fungi in the world, how dense and how thick would all of the wood, the decayed trees, the leaf litter, all the plant matter in the world would be miles and miles and miles and miles rich. And also the soils would be so depleted of nutrients that new trees and new plants wouldn't be able to grow. So it's without these saprotrophic and saprophytic, same thing, mushrooms, fungi in the world that we as humans are able to grow plants, grow food. And it just, this whole ecosystem, not just us humans, but the bees and the bugs and the nematodes and the worms and the other bacteria and all the organisms, the deer, just think of every organism even the dinosaurs lived when there were saprophytic fungi eating up the dead, rotten debris in the world. So just think about it. If we didn't have these fungi that would take on the most gross task of it all, of eating the dead, decomposing grossness of the world, the decaying, rotten plant material, what would our world be like without that? So let's just give thanks to all of the fungi that are saprotrophic and roaming around underground in the soil saprophytically. Just think about it. How fun is that? All right, my YouTube friends, thank you so much for liking my channel, and don't forget to, like, subscribe, ding the bell to get the whistles. And if you want to know all about how mushrooms can change your life by consuming them, please reach out to me and let's do a free 15-minute phone call. I do coaching, I do sitting for macrodosing, and the sacred medicine of the medicinal benefits of fungi are here for you. So reach out to me. Link is below, email is below. And if you need some really good supplements for your diet in terms of medicinal fungi, link below. Take some host defense, particularly lion's mane, to keep the noggin active. All right, YouTubers, go be a fungi and enjoy the day.